What's going on, boys? Today we are doing a quick video on FI. I've seen this question asked. What is the point of FI? Well, beyond stereotypes and the normal stuff like crying for no reason when you shouldn't and not crying when you should, or self-knowledge, or getting really stuck on something that you probably don't need to get stuck on, misreading the mood, all those sorts of really fun FI things, there are practical uses for it that even you, as a TI user, can benefit from, maybe even learn to appreciate. The first practical benefit of FI as a TI user is the fact FI users will stand up to the mob. If they think something is wrong, they will make a stand against it, no matter what it is, no matter how many people are against them. Now, of course, that could go wrong and horrifically, but there are good uses. The COVID doctor in China, when COVID was breaking out but hadn't gotten mainstream attention yet, the guy who broadcasted all the actual info about COVID, knowing that the government would probably kill him for it. I would bet money that's FI. Or a fictional example, Venom Snake deciding not to murder Huey despite everyone's telling him to. FE types can't create that spark on their own, and they can't maintain it on their own. An FE type will think, oh, that's not going to go over well if I try this, I might as well just keep my head down. Or, if they want to stand up, they'll need people backing them. But that isn't always an option. FI types are able to act in the face of a group, against a group, despite the consequences in ways FE types just can't, or won't rather. If you need a friend during a hard time when everyone has their guns pointed at you, FI is the only function that's going to help you, or that's going to stand up with you, or stand up for themselves even. Now, FI types are going to be the types more likely to cause those problems in the first place, those conflicts, especially pointless ones. But FI counters itself. If a group is getting too TE heavy, or even too FE heavy, and causing a bunch of problems, an FI type will take the boot in the face so you don't have to. And they will enjoy doing it because they are a special breed. When you see an FI type standing up to a majority at any time, give them a pat on the back and help them out. Because it's rather unlikely an FE type would stand up and do the same. Without help anyway. Second positive, this is actually a positive video, or at least I think it is, about FI. They can say lame or weird but good things and make them stick. That statement or that sentiment could be motivational, it could be a weird, atypical, but potentially productive way of doing things. It could even be saying something mean to a person who needs something mean said to them. Higher FE types are going to consider whether what they're thinking about saying is going to go over well. If it won't, they probably aren't going to say it. I've noticed higher FE types will stop themselves saying positive things if they're afraid it might not go over well, or if the person might take it some kind of way they don't mean it to and they just don't say it. Saying aggressive things, sometimes more likely to, but again, they need people there who are already pretty riled up. And even if they do say any of these things, they are paying more attention to the way people are taking what they say rather than what they're saying. FE inferiors are going to have a really bad sense of things. They might come out of their mouths and say something a higher FE type wouldn't, but then they will immediately backpedal at the slightest resistance or pushback, and they either shut up and stop and it comes off as wonky and wobbly and weird, or they go nuclear and spurg out. Again, still shackled by FE, just with worse control over it. FE tertiaries are confusing. I'm not going to say anything about them. What's good about FI in saying sentiments, saying nice things or saying mean things, they seem not to care about the way they come off. Or if they do, they don't really, because they're going to say this shit anyway. And that unawareness of FE, or that unaffectedness by it, is confidence. And when people say something from the heart with confidence, it sticks. That's when either other FI types are going to mob them or get that dumb social scripty, wow, I can't believe they said that, that's so cool thing, and rally to them. And FE types are going to gauge the situation and pick the least painful option. And for archiving's sake, ETJs and IFPs seem to be better with making these sentiments stick with confidence. They'll make these sands. They're going to make these stands or tell you something from the heart, and you're going to think, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, but it's cool that they did that, or I feel motivated now, thank you. You don't get that independent, confident, I don't give a shit what other people think confidence with words in FE types. If you think something needs to be said and you are too scared to do it yourself, 1, you should probably try to do it anyway. 2, don't worry, an FI type probably has you covered. And of course, this could backfire. It often backfires, and you will hear horrific things and see the results of those horrific things. But when it works, it works. The third practical value of FI is production and movement. That's kind of tied in with TE, but not exactly. This goes hand in hand with the last 2 points. If you are fed up with a system, an FI type is probably also fed up with the system, and they are working on it right now. TE will handle making the changes, filling out the paperwork, or throwing the Molotov, but none of that would be possible without FI. It wouldn't be possible with FE. We'll go with a more extreme example. Could you imagine how useless an ENTJ with FE would be? They wouldn't be able to do the things they need to do if they were always worrying about how they might come off to other people. Could you imagine an ENFP without FI? Or with FE? They might still break rules, but they wouldn't be able to do it with gusto. They wouldn't be able to do it without worrying about consequences. We wouldn't have had that Ricky Gervais it wasn't a roast, I don't know what it was, the Golden Globes thing, Ricky Gervais. We wouldn't have human flamethrowers. FI is an othering function, a tremendously unempathetic, unsympathetic function against people it doesn't like. It's deemed as wrong. But life sucks, and we need people like that. You can't have that without FI. We need people willing to lead the charge alone with confidence. FI makes that possible. Now, of course, as with everything FI, it's going to backfire more often than it doesn't. It's going to bother you more often than it doesn't. But considering we live in an FI world, most types are either FI or FJ, meaning they like or tend to like FI. Might as well find the positives and accentuate them. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, because I certainly enjoyed making it. Didn't forget this part of the outro this time. FI has its uses. FI can be a good function. I'll always idealize a fully TP world, but what can you do? Like if you enjoyed, because it helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes, and comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. What do you think about FI? How does it feel having FI? I'll bet we're going to get a bunch of people saying, well, you know, I actually do really care about what people think, and I think about all this stuff. But it doesn't stop you from saying those things, or at least it doesn't stop you from saying the things you don't think to think about. Which is FE, and TI, and stagnant. But that's how much fun we have on this channel. No, I fucked that up. But thanks again for watching, everybody, really. We have a lot of fun on this channel. So much fun, in fact, you could fill it full of ink and write down all the fun we have on this channel. And that's how much fun we have on this channel. And I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.